think she talked.
All right. All right, good morning, everybody. It is 9 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting of the Codington County Board of Commissioners to order. Today is Tuesday, March 11th, and it is 9 o'clock, and I'll have Commissioner Johnson lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, it should be noted that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner McElhaney. I'm not sure if he's running late or if he'll join us later, but he is not here. Call for public comment. Public comment may be submitted in person or via telephone at 605-882-6248 or 605-882-6297. Item number 3, conflict of interest items.
No.
No conflict of interest items. Number 4, action to approve the March 11th agenda.
So moved. Second it.
Motion by Gable, second by Schwer. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Action number 5 is action to approve the March 4th, 2025 minutes. Moved by Johnson.
Second.
Second by Gable. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to number 6, this is an update on the jail project by Tegra and Architecture Incorporated. Commissioner Gable?
Yeah, Dick and Andrew, please come on down.
Dick, okay.
You want me to put up your diagram first?
Good morning. We just ask you to identify yourselves. If you would, turn on the microphones there before we do that. Just push that little button.
So just if I could interject, Mr. Chairman, so we like to at least every maybe couple months as we're going through the jail project, we'd like to get an update, just to answer any questions. And I've had the interesting privilege of being being on a lot of the design meetings. I learned a lot, but since we're all in this together, let's we just want to do an update. So
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
From Tegra and Andrew from Architect Inc. are here.
All right. Can you give us your last names for the media?
Dick Strasberg.
Okay.
Andrew Etro.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, gentlemen.
All right, so I'll start with a schedule. I'll hand this out. This is what you've seen before. Pass it out there. So the big picture view on it, the schedule hasn't changed. We've added a little more detail to it. But just as a reminder, I thought we'd kind of walk through where we are in the process. So we're in design development phase. And as a reminder on what that is, the schematic design phase is where we establish a floor plan, its adjacencies, it's figuring out the square footage, and it's getting it so all the components are included. And when you get to design development, now we're starting to get into, what's actually, how is it constructed? For example, we just had a meeting last week where we're going through all the ceilings to figure out what level of security is needed at each ceiling. If it's just a drywall ceiling, or if it's drywall with mesh, or if it's something that's more, if you've got inmates that can have direct contact with it, it gets more of a secured ceiling, things like that. So that level of detail, that's where we are in the process. At the end of schematic design, the end of each one of these phases, we do a cost estimate. And Beckenhauer did the cost estimate at the end of schematic design. We just got the numbers back. We were about 10% high, which isn't alarming because, you know, it's always above, because these guys are tasked with, you know, getting the best facility we can get. So then they're gonna come and say, well, what does it cost if we do this? And what does it cost if we do that? And so it's got, you know, quite a few nice to have, not must haves. And we're confident we can get all the must haves included in the budget. Now it's
Yeah.
sorting out some of those priorities in terms of trade-offs. Example of things would be, say, the mechanical system, you know, and it's an easy one to use as an example, because the more you pay up front, the less you pay in operating expenses. You cheapen it up front, then you pay it in operating later. So that's the kind of discussions we're in right now of figuring out like what really makes sense. And it's really, you know, the sheriff and his staff are really having to dig through like what's really important here. Do I want this or do I want that? And there's a lot of, you know, do we have just bare concrete floors? Do we put epoxy on it? And I mean, all the different things of, you know, that involve maintenance versus, you know, operating costs versus, you know, what we need to have. And it's a big argument of what's a must have and what's a nice to have. Because you can prove what you can get by with right now with what you've got. So, you know, so then we were trying to make it more efficient, and it's a lot of this comes down to staffing. You know, like we've got a discussion coming on, do we have, you know, swing doors or sliding doors? Well, the sliding doors cost a little bit more, but then you only need one guy. If you've got someone that's disagreeable, you know, you can do it with one person instead of two. And, you know, the sheriff can get in and Matt can get in all the details, all this stuff, but that's the stage we're at. So now going forward, we will be getting an estimate again at the end of design development. And if history has it, typically every time you do an estimate, it's over a little bit, and then you got to pull back, because these guys are trying to figure out, we want to get the information out there so Brad and his staff can figure out what do we really want, because you don't know what it costs until you put it in there and price it out.
Mhm.
So that's where we're at. We're starting to get into, you know, it's maybe on like the exterior, the finish of the exterior, what it might look like, the quality of the concrete panels, things like that. Then we'll have two bid packages. The first bid package will include the site work, structural, and then the building envelope, the shell. And the reason we want to get that going early, some of those are long lead items, and we might include a few other long lead items too. And like maybe
Mechanical equipment, potentially, yeah.
electrical. Some of those are long lead items. We want to get those ordered. Then we'll finish all the construction documents for the whole package, and then bid that out. And then that's when you establish the final GMP, the guaranteed maximum price. And so we're on schedule. The same dates we showed you last time. We're on schedule. The only thing that could change this is when we get when we're actually bid this. Let's just say that you've got I don't know, the concrete or one of the early subs, maybe the precast panels. If there's someone that has a better price but they can't start for another month, then we can evaluate that to see if it makes sense. And so we don't know for sure on that date until we get everything bid out. And then also the lead times can affect this too, because it could shift if the lead times shift out. Right now, this is based on what we know today. But if there's some, if there's enough projects coming, it can actually push everything out. We don't think that's happening right now. So that's the overview on the schedule. Any questions on that?
Questions?
And then on the budget, just an update on that. We'll go into more detail when we get further down the road with this. But our construction number that we're working to is 31 million. And out of the total project is 37. But the number we're really focused on right now is this construction number, because that's what they're designing to. So we got 31 for construction. Then there's the professional fees, which architect, Tegra, soil testing, survey, quality testing during construction, all that is 3.4 million. And then we've got this in the industry, we call it FF&E. It's fixtures, furniture, and equipment. We're just starting to get into that. We had our first meeting last week on it. We're going through it. For example, if it was this desk right here, is this furniture or is it considered part of construction? So we've kind of got that to work out yet to figure out which bucket it falls in. And then we're carrying a contingency too, so it makes a total of 37. So that's where we're at on the budget and schedule, and at this point, we're on track. We're right where we planned, I think, since it was
Good to
voted in.
hear. Yeah. So once again, just for the people listening, we're looking at breaking ground on this project early July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, unless we have some bid packages that push it out, but that's what we're looking at right now.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
As far as schedule and budget, I would second everything Dick said. It's not surprising to be 5 to 10% over at the early stage and then make the adjustments to get back down and do it again at the next estimate. So overall, design team wise, kind of halfway through design development, I think we're sitting in a good position currently.
So to me, just to maybe put in a little bit of layman's terms, Mr. Chairman, so the schematic design is kind of just a floor plan. And now we're kind of talking about how the jail is actually going to work and the materials and the doors and the ceiling and all that stuff that Dick was talking about. How is it actually going to work for the sheriff and his staff? And so and then the construction documents is when, that's the stuff.
Yeah.
It's for, you guys know what that is, but.
The way here's the way I like to describe it in simplest terms. Schematic design is what might it look like? Design development is how's it going to work? And construction documents is how do we build it?
Okay.
So we're in the how does it work phase, if that makes sense.
And a comment that ties to the budget on that, obviously, when you're at the schematic design, which is what we just got the estimate for, there's a lot of assumptions. You have to make the contractor has to assume certain things, a lot of discussion. Then as we go, design development gets more detailed, the estimate's better. And then construction documents when it's actually bid out and actually awarded. So that's the process.
That was kind of.
Yeah. Why don't you go through your part?
Yeah, so we've got the site plan pulled up on the screen
You
here.
guys have seen it. We don't really want to, on YouTube, we don't really want to show you the schematic of the building, the inside of the building itself for security reasons, but don't get if Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
If anybody from the public would like to kind of get a look at what this looks like, we could show it to them on paper. We just don't want to be around the internet for obvious, security concerns.
So a quick overview on the site plan that's up on the screen. We would be entering the site in the southeast corner, adjacent to the Discount Seeds facility. There would be visitor parking on the south side of the facility and the visitors entrances on the south side as
Can you
well.
just get a little closer to the microphone, so.
Sure.
So if we're looking at this, which way would be north?
North is up.
Okay.
North is up.
Okay.
You can get, I'm sorry, we don't have a separate piece of paper for that, but that's kind of what it looks like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so if we started on the site plan, just to kind of get our bearings, the visitors parking would be along the south side, and that's where the public entrance would be to get into the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office would be off to the east side, and then the jail is the western portion of it with juvenile and female on the south side, kind of support spaces in the center, and the male housing on the north side. The vehicular sally port would also then be on the west side of the facility. Staff parking is on the north side of the facility as far as the kind of the overall site is laid out. So in the detailed floor plans that you're looking at, off to the right is the sheriff's office, that narrower wing off to the right. And there's that secure vestibule connection between the sheriff's office and the actual secure jail facility. You can see food service there. You can see the public lobby. And then as we're moving further to the left, that red central control station in the center, lower left of the plan, would have observation of female housing, juvenile housing intake. And then as we move up that center corridor that runs north and south, then that connects up to the male housing, which kind of radiates around a control point up in that portion of the facility.
And as a reminder, we have, within the budget, we have the shell for the sheriff's office. We don't have it all
Right.
finished out. But what we hope to do is be able to, get some of it, so you'll spend less dollars in the future. Maybe we can rough in the plumbing, or we can do something like that if we've got the money to do it.
Or we could look at, just budgeting for it in the regular budget too, if the money's available too.
So, and I'm happy to answer questions. I don't know how much detail you would like to get into, how much you want to study the floor plan, but
Dick, did you say the male housing unit on this? So this area right here,
yes.
this is the pod unit that we
Correct.
have talked about for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
We would have females, males, everybody would be in this unit here?
No, so the male housing is this entire octagonal shaped
Okay.
section off to the north.
Yep.
Females is down here. There's 20 beds of female housing down here, and then juvenile is off to the corner there. So males are separated from females and juveniles.
Okay.
This schematic, but how many do we have room for?
There's 88 male, there's 20 female, and there's 4 juvenile. And then we also do, if you see the kind of white area on the far north of the plan, that would be fitting out, or that would be room for future expansion of 16 more beds down the road. So that wouldn't be planned to be
Yeah.
constructed right away.
I think we
Okay.
originally planned for 16 female. Is that right, Andrew?
Yes,
16,
and we made a recent change there was gonna be 4 beds of future expansion of female, and feedback from Sheriff and Matt was that they could use those full 20 beds of female right away.
And the cost to come back and put in those few
That
beds
would have been,
would have been very high. So it didn't make sense to
yeah, that,
come in later and do that.
whereas
Okay.
the larger 16 bed expansion for the male in the future is your cost is still going to be greater, but it's not gonna be paying such a kind of crazy premium relative to that little 4 bed expansion for female.
And it also has direct access to the north.
Yeah.
So the construction on it
Good-
is much
good
easier. We're not going
access, yep.
through the facility as much.
So the question that I have then on the female area part of the jail here, would that be a pod type system then as well, like the male section is up there?
Sort
How
of.
would-
There's two different pods for female housing. There's the 12-person housing unit, which is 3 4-bed cells to make 12. And then there's single cells. There's 8 single cells for female. So there's a diversity in the types of cells that are allocated for females. 8 singles, 12 of them in 4-bed
So
cells.
I don't know if you recall, so this is kind of interesting to me, is when we're early on in the plan, we were talking about kind of a balance between 4-bed and 1-bed cells. So the 1-bed cells are
Mhm.
critical for the jail to be able to manage the population. But as opposed to what we normally think of with jails having 2-bed cells mostly. So that's kind of the new thing that we're doing with this jail. And I'm kind of hopeful it'll save some money on some of the stuff.
Well, I mean, it cuts down for 4 people, you now have 1 door, you now have 1 plumbing fixture.
Right.
You're cutting that down significantly. You're not building a wall in between. And then HDR, who's our partner architect on this, their research and application of these 4-bed cells is when you've got a 2-person cell, you end up with the dynamics are you've got a more dominant person, a more passive person. And those dynamics are totally different when you put 4
Mhm.
people in a cell. And so it can help with some of those inmate behavior issues.
And we had to make this decision, so the sheriff did some research, he called around to some other.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
that had started using this new technique with the 4-bed cells, and very favorable reviews.
Yeah, saves on square footage, saves on doors, plumbing fixtures, et cetera. It's an efficient way to do it.
Okay, so you know, we talked about, okay, so that is control central or central control. Would there be a jailer down watching the female inmates then down in this area somewhere? Where are they gonna be at on here?
They're in that, so.
In
this-
here.
That,
Okay.
yeah, that control, the two red
Okay. Gotcha.
portions of the plan are, there's central control, which is controlling the overall facility doors,
Okay.
and then also observing female juvenile and intake. And then there's the north staff post that would be up managing the male housing.
Okay.
So this is.
I see a, multi-purpose room separating the view of the,
There would be glass kind of at each of the different levels, so you're seeing through a couple of layers of
Okay.
glass to make sure that you still have
It's kind
sight
of,
lines.
yeah, that's the juvenile section.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so it'd be kind of like a day room, kind of like the day, where the day rooms are configured in like a normal pod, except this would be, configured for juveniles. That's do different activities, the process.
I'm sure it's gonna work. I just, you know, this is what I was thinking it would look
Sure,
like for
sure.
males and females both, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Staff wise, with two central control areas,
Mhm.
is this gonna cause more staff needs? I mean, from currently what we have now, are we gonna have to build our staff more? Or less? Not a fair
Think we'll-
question?
I guess I can answer that. We kind of designed it so it's a minimum of 3 jailers, that's the very, very minimum. Of course, on day shift with some of our programs, we'll have to have our 24/7 and have to have, and court and everything that's happening, we'll still have to have those people. But the very, very minimum would be 3, that's kind of what we're looking at for nights, we'd like to have 4, kind of what we kind of got designed. We should be able to work within our staff, maybe 1 or 2, depending on adding program manager or something like that in the future.
One of the discussions we had on this was about the juvenile pod, about using what's called direct supervision versus indirect supervision. And so that's one thing. So direct supervision takes more people. That's where you actually have a jailer in the pod in the space with the inmates. And so that's one thing. So this is what's technically called an indirect supervision, even though you can actually see the person, you're just not in the actual physical space.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff that those staffing questions are, things that kind of are impacted as we walk through this design, so.
Yep.
Many of our discussions are based on staffing. That's the ongoing expense, so that's the primary driver.
Any other questions? Commissioners?
Yes. Want to see if the sheriff has anything to add?
Yeah. Anything, Sheriff? Matt, do you have anything? Okay. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's all I have unless
Okay.
there's other questions.
Again, we're just so the public knows what we're doing. We're looking at a floor plan basically of this facility. If people are curious about it, please contact me. Again, we don't want this we just don't want it to be all over the internet. Just I think folks can understand the security concerns. So.
Oh, excellent presentation. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Glad to hear that we're back on track.
You know,
I'm giving mine back.
You can see it's clear.
That's all right.
I'm gonna keep mine because I want to look at mine.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. just to
Yes,
follow.
Commissioner.
So we're also having a discussion. It's not really apparent from the site diagram about approaches and.
Highway. Highway approach.
So we're working with the DOT and it'd be nice to have 2 approaches. We got DOT said it would give the permits for both of them. So now we have to look at the specifics of, easements and what it would cost to develop and fitting it into the budget and stuff. So that would make it easier both in construction and in operation, and just to have two approaches, two access points.
Yeah.
So that's going on.
Okay. Both coming off of Highway 212.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Item number 7, monthly reports, 4H. Good morning, Jody. Hey. Got your green on today.
I have clover buds this afternoon, so our 4-H club just took turns at the Home Builders Show, running the lunch counter that we have had for the many years there. We do have a sewing workshop this Saturday that's full. It'll be led by our Magic Needlers Quilt Guild. Our 4-H shooting sports spaghetti feed is on this coming Sunday, March 16th at the Codington County Extension Complex from 11 to 2 pending weather that is forecasted. Shooting sports continues on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Our state shoot will be April 25th through the 27th in Fort Pierre. However, we have many of our youth that are competing on the weekends around the state. So they're competing in different competitions. Our 4-H shooting sports raffle has begun and our tickets are available from Shooting Sports Youth and at the Extension Complex. We have a regional babysitting clinic called Kid Care that's going to be held on Saturday, April 5th at the Extension Complex. It's kind of a regional one. We've been doing virtual babysitting clinics for the past 3 or 4 years now. So we thought we'd bring it to in person again as a regional Kid Care. We are still taking applications for that to attend. They can check our Codington County 4-H Facebook page for the link to register for that. And that will be on Saturday, April 5th. And then I will be assisting with the Women in Science next Monday. That'll be held at Lake Area Technical. We have about 120 8th grade girls for sure. And I don't know about the men in science also. So they'll be learning about science careers. And I've helped with that for many years. So. And that'll be, yeah, for sure. So all of that is all pending weather this week, so.
Which
can't-
we put in a
can't-
request for that to go away.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm
We'll
not
see
gonna
if
make
it's
any
not.
predictions until I see it on Thursday or Friday, so then we'll decide. Anyway, any questions?
Nope,
All right.
that's it. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
All right, Director of Equalization. Let's get Shauna up here. Good morning, Shauna.
Good morning. Earlier this morning, I dropped off the board booklet. It's basically got all the information in it for the appeal process. As you guys as a board, we sent out our notices first week in March. And now we are busy fielding phone calls on assessments, taxes, any type of programs that we have, things like that. We're also watching the legislature really close this year. We found out yesterday a couple big bills did fail. And so we're kind of just waiting to hear on one more bill that will affect our offices. So
Which one is that?
that is the 219.
219?
Is it 219? Yeah, because 191 failed and that one was the one that was going to take the assessments back to 2020.
Right, at 2%,
Yeah, and then
3%.
I think every year after that, the one we're waiting to hear on is not raising only owner occupied properties. Only raising those 3% a year, not higher than, but that one's only for owner occupied. And I don't think anything passed on the mill levy side, right? Did those all fail?
Somewhere
So-
together and with the set, the mill levies and assessments in one bill.
Mhm. And I'm pretty sure those all failed too. So there's only, it was supposed to be, they were talking about it yesterday, but we haven't heard anything this morning. If they're talking about maybe amending it or hearing it again.
An association update tomorrow. What time is it? Noon? 1 o'clock, something like that. It's online. Should be in your email.
Yeah. And so basically, the local board will start meeting next week. And then the county boards, you guys will meet as a county board on April 8th at 1 PM here. And then you will meet as a consolidated board on April 8th that evening at 6:30. And that's over at City Hall.
Those are always fun.
Always fun.
All right, anything
But
else?
this year there wasn't as much adjustments in the assessments, so we haven't gotten, knock on wood, as many calls about that stuff. Sales are starting to slow down, which is nice to see. But then we'll wait and see what the summer brings for sales, so.
What time did you say in the evening?
6:30. Yep, so we'll meet here in the afternoon at 1. And then 6:30 PM over in the council chambers at City Hall.
You're at one.
Yes. Otherwise, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Shauna.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Community Service Director. Sarah
morning.
Faust. Good morning, Sarah. In case you wonder why I say your name,
Uh.
when it's your turn, it's so the media
Oh,
knows, because
okay.
they might not.
That works. That works.
Looking out for you,
What?
Katie.
There. Okay, good morning. The chart first, numbers for February were down a little bit. I think some of that is people started getting their tax return, and so there's a little less urgency for things and stuff, but we remain busy, but so that was good. I don't know, any questions on any of the charts? We have had a few funerals. We had like 2 or 3 in a day. So that was but they tend to do that, and then we won't hear anything for a long stretch of time, so. There's that. As far as just the other regular update, we received $3,000 administrative fees reimbursed for the South Dakota CARES program. The impact or CHW program, the Medicaid reimbursement was $1,450 billed in February. And our office, the big thing is we've been trying to figure out how we're gonna fit Angie in when she starts on April 1st. And we are still looking for other spaces, but in the meantime, we are clearing out our storage room. Carrie is going to move into our storage room. She has agreed to do that so that Angie will have Carrie's office and then Carrie will be in the storage room for the period of time. And so we're trying to make that as office friendly as we can for her. So not a long-term solution, but it's definitely, I just want to say I have an amazing staff and they step up continuously and just do the work that needs to be done repeatedly. And so I'm very grateful for their willingness to take things as they come and do what needs to be done.
I don't know if you were sharing with the rest of the board, but what was that, week or 2 weeks ago that Steve and I met with the whole, well, I think everybody was there. The contingency of the
Yeah,
group
yeah,
and looked at one building in particular here in town and it needs a lot of, the building is in very, very good shape. Structurally, it's very sound, but it's a lot of walls and doors and things have to be moved to make it work, so.
things add up very quickly even when like the structural piece seems to be mostly ready. Just adding some walls and doors adds up quickly, so we'll see.
So is there a light in the storage room for her when she moves?
She does have a light, not
Okay,
her own,
good.
that she can control.
Okay.
We can control it in the front, so.
Lighting's important.
Yes, she will have room. We'll put a lamp in there for her too. Actually, she likes dimmer light too, so, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, we'll get her set up. We'll get in there. We did buy a desk for her and everything, so she'll
Good.
have that in there. Yeah. We're also looking, so talking about that, we're also looking at our front office needs, what we can do to make things work a little bit better for everybody. We did have Morgan, which was very helpful, and we've had an intern to kind of fill the gap and to help man it. And so I've taken advantage of that time and really sorted out what our staffing needs are and what support we need. And I'm having conversations now with Natalie about what that position would look like. I did have it budgeted in this 2025 year to add a position and then in addition to covering what Morgan had. So it is part of the budget, and I'll be coming back with that discussion too. As far as the system of care and Codington Connects, the interagency meeting is this week at the police department, Thursday at from 9 to 10:30, and this is just our community discussion piece. Anybody, it's really intended for social service providers, but everybody is welcome. We love having government officials. I know Lee has attended multiple times, and you're always welcome to attend that.
You learn a lot. You
Yeah.
learn a lot about what's going on. You have a chance to go.
Yeah, it's very good. Our agency of the month is the Watertown Healthy Youth, and Kelly Rumsa is our individual of the month. And updates on our groups. Childcare is establishing 3 working groups. So we're going from 1 regular monthly meeting to breaking it out into 3 priority groups. And so those 3 groups are one group that's going to look at business needs and how we can help engage businesses in meeting the childcare needs. That's working with a consultant and Watertown Development Company on that piece of it.
The second group is our capacity development, how we increase capacity for childcare. And then the third group is marketing and community awareness. Again, this whole initiative is part of our early learner initiative, and the early learner initiative is really how do we make a good community for children in our, or a good community for children. And so that marketing and community awareness is really how do we help promote a community sense. I'm excited. More will be coming about this. We've had one initial meeting with some great broad diversity of organizations in our group that came together, everybody from Park and Rec to Visit Watertown to the development company, school district. There was a lot of people there. And we're looking at having a large community event to start off this summer. So be watching for more on that, but that will be the first initiative coming out of that group. Centralized location, as Myron said, we are looking at a location, business plan feasibility. We're working with that consultant on if we can afford it and what that would look like, creating a new nonprofit, a new organization to kind of buy that and own that building. So working on those pieces and hoping they'll all come together with that. And then we did have our transition to success training last week, which I had come to you last week. Our office was closed for that. It went really well. We had 19 members of the community be trained in that. So I wanted to give a little bit of information about that and just why it's important for our community. In 2023, the poverty rate in South Dakota was 11.8%. In Watertown, over 30% of the students in our community are on free or reduced lunches. That's 1 in 3 children in our community that live at or below 185% of the poverty line, which is still poverty in general. So poverty is really expensive. We spend a lot of money helping people in poverty. If we can help move people out of poverty, then we're going to save money as a community. So transition to success is an evidence-based model that looks at poverty through the medical model and it views it as a treatable condition. So those 19 local providers that were trained in the model will help individuals take ownership in their treatment by building their dreams using uniform standards of care. It's a new, innovative way of looking at poverty, and I can't wait to see what it does for our community. I think we're really ahead of other communities in looking at this and seeing what we can do to treat poverty. It was sponsored by the Helpline Center and Codington County, that training was. So thank you to the Helpline Center and you guys as commissioners for helping sponsor that. And as always, check out Codington Connects at www.codingtonconnects.com for more events and information about the community.
Excellent. All right. Any questions, commissioners?
The only question I have.
Turn your mic on.
The only question I have is kind of the elephant in the room here. Have you, your department operates almost on grants. Any rumblings out there?
Not so far. We're moving forward with everything. Everything seems to be continuing to move forward. I mean, there were obviously when all of the organizations were told the funding was stopped, we had some pauses, but our coaches and the advisors that we're talking to in DC have continued to say that funding is coming our way. So no.
No news is
Great.
good news.
Yes. Yeah.
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 It's a big deal.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Auditors report. It's Brenda. Good morning.
All right, good morning, everyone. So basically finishing up with the annual report. Also continue watching the legislature bills, election and other items that would affect the office. Getting information for our state auditors who are here, getting everything that they need to keep them moving. Also working on with the Time Clock Plus, our new timekeeping system. We are gathering information and doing Excel spreadsheets and all that to provide to them so they can start to build that for us. And we are having weekly team meetings with them to keep that process moving.
Yes.
When do they think it's gonna be ready to roughly? I know it's a lot of detail work of inputting that.
Yeah.
System.
I don't know, maybe April-ish, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully, we're trying to shoot for sometime in there. Maybe we do a little trial deal first, kind of. We want to make sure it works. We want to do it right. So we're not really rushing, but we're moving it along as fast as we can. It depends on as we're providing this information and they're implementing it, I guess, how that all goes. So,
It's got a lot of meticulous kind of work that's done, so.
yes, a lot of data that we need to provide to them. So, yeah, other than that, business as usual.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the auditor? Not, we'll move on. Action to approve computer purchase for the state's attorney's office. Brenda or Allison?
I'll let Allison.
All right, good morning.
Hi, Allison.
Want to buy a new
Morning.
computer?
I do.
right.
So I have the oldest computer in the office and our technology that we use for law enforcement keeps getting better and better, which means my computer is out of date. I currently have one, I believe, 18-inch monitor, and one maybe 24-inch monitor. In drafting a lot of legal documents, I need to have multiple pages up at once, which requires me to have multiple screens. Well, what I have is usable. It makes things quite difficult as I can't open some of the programs that law enforcement uses. So that
Okay.
makes things quite difficult. And so ultimately, I did request a bid for one. I'd be asking for the two 27-inch monitors. The total price would come to $17,1080.
And is this something you have in your budget?
It is
Now, what was that total again?
$1,710.80.
Move to approve.
Motion by Johnson, second by Gable. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Item number 9, discussion possible action to approve the purchase of a belly dump trailer for the highway department.
Good morning.
It's a little bigger
Morning.
purchase.
Yes. Gonna move a little more material with that.
Yeah. Morning, Randy.
Good morning. This is a budgeted item. We got 2 quotes locally here in town. First one from Peterson Motors. It's a Midland manufacturing product, a 42-foot belly dump. Their quote came in at $70,200. The second one is also local, Butler Manufacturing, the representative actually out of Sioux Falls. That is for a Trail King model, also a 42-foot belly dump. They came in at $65,548.14. I would like to go with the Trail King from Butler. The reason for the difference there of $4,651 is that they're able to put us on the Sourcewell bid, so we did get a discount.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Gable, second by Schwer. Any further discussion? I know that this has been an item of discussion in previous years and something that you guys are going to use. Pretty sizable purchase. So tell us what this is going to be used for.
This is for used mostly for hauling gravel. This will haul twice what one of our end dumps can haul.
Okay.
So we'll make good use of it in the fall when we start graveling the roads. Take the place obviously of 2 vehicles, so we can spread out our manpower a little bit better that way also.
Work more efficiently.
Correct.
Okay.
You do have a side up.
We do not. That is on next
Oh, yeah.
year's
Oh, is it? I
request.
shouldn't have said that.
That
I'm
was,
sorry, guys.
that was one of the issues of contention over the years. Yes.
So being a bottom dump, I guess I'm not really familiar, but there's a door that opens and you just drive along and dump the
Correct.
contents.
Double doors open on the bottom
Okay.
as you drive along about 35 miles an hour. So you're dumping your load.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like something we should have.
Yes.
Okay, so we have motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Randy.
Yep.
I don't want to sound like I'm so naive. I didn't really know what that was, but people might not know, so. All right. Okay, number 10, action to authorize the chair and auditor to sign the audit letter of engagement.
So the reason for this, we did have our opening audit conference last week. We just need to make it official that the chair and the auditor are able to sign the audit letter of engagements.
So
So
moved.
move. Second.
Motion by Gable, second by Johnson. Any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Number 11, action to approve the auditor's account with the treasurer and note monthly register of deeds fees.
All right, so you have that information in your packet, the auditor's account with the treasurer on the last business day of February. Once again, our custodial funds, the amounts that down at the bottom there, they go to the schools, the townships, cities and towns. Total amount at the end was 28,200,531. And then the other one is just the breakdown of when we go and we count with them at the end of the month. And then the registered deeds fees is 35,362.85 collected in the month of February.
Looking for a motion.
So
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Gable. Any discussion on those at all?
the registered deeds fee seems like it's higher than usual.
Yeah, it just depends on, recording documents. The
This is that-
transfer
It normally isn't that high.
Yeah,
It's
it could
good.
vary.
That's it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
No abatements.
No abatements. It's number 12, action to approve claims for payment.
Yes, and you have that on your desk as well. I kind of went through and highlighted a few things. We had our first clerk assessment that is higher in the amount of 16,422. Considerably higher than it was last year. I pulled that up. Last year, our clerk quarterly amounts were like 2,211. So we had some big claims that they're,
And just so the members of the public listening know, that is the catastrophic legal expense reimbursement program, which is basically an insurance policy for the county. Catastrophic legal.
We received some dollars last year, and these are cases that go to court. Any that are settled out of court, we are not eligible to submit those. So on page 3, Watertown Transit, they requested their 2025 budgeted amount of 35,000. Also had on page 7, Codington County Historical Society, they requested their 8,000. The zoo requested their 26,000. Watertown Economic Development Company, their 30,000. So on the last page, Of the
Watertown development.
yeah.
That's that reduced rate. there.
Yes, otherwise it would have been, yes, that is half of what we typically had that agreement with them. So total amount of claims is 994,852.43, but our state pass-through amount is 553,114.63, which means the county claims amount is 441,737.80.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion to
I'll
approve
second it.
by Gable, second by Schwer. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Uh,
Personnel changes. Travel requests.
We have one of those individual with the extension for 4-H online and fair entry training. And you have all the other information.
Move to approve.
Motion by Johnson,
Second it.
second by Schwer. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Public notices. A possible quorum of commissioners could be in attendance at this week. We have one listed, and that is the Weed and Towns and Townships Annual Meeting, which is March 13th at 6 PM. That would be Thursday night?
Yes, Thursday.
Yeah.
6 PM at the Extension Center Complex. Does anybody have anything else?
Well, it's kind of out of, well, I'll mention it just simply because the date was changed. The Republican Executive Board meets tomorrow, Wednesday, the 12th at noon at the Pizza Ranch. It's usually the first Wednesday of the month, but our chairman's mother's funeral was on that day, so I moved it till tomorrow.
Okay. There is also an LEPC meeting today at noon that I'll be in attendance at. I don't know if anybody else is going to that or not, but that's at noon. Anything else? Nothing? Okay. Moving on, item number 17 is old business. Anybody have any old business? New business. Item number 18, new business. Nothing. Item number 19, public comments. Anybody from the public want to make any comments? Public comments? I have to ask 3 times? I think I do, right? Public
No,
comments? No? Okay.
Just nominations.
Oh, nominations, okay. Commissioner comments? No commissioner comments? Quiet group today. All right, move on to executive session. We do have a need for executive session for the purpose of contractual matters, I believe. So look for a motion to go into exec.
So
Motion by
Second
Jonathan,
it.
second by Gable. All in favor, say aye.
I.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are into.
Who made the motion?
Jack.
Jen. Okay,
Johnson, Gable, second.
all righty.
We're in exec
So-
session.